And with that, we'll move on and talk a little Cavaliers. When the game tips off, the NBA action is just getting started, and there's no better place to get in on that action than with FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. With FanDuel, you can place live bets throughout the game, so even if you miss the opening tip-off or want to bet on a fourth-quarter comeback, you can stay in on the action, and if you're looking for a bigger payout, you can even combine your live bets into a same-game parlay. Right now, new FanDuel customers can get $150 in bonus bets if their first $5 bet wins. Just visit FanDuel.com/UCSS to join today. That is FanDuel.com/UCSS for your shot at $150 in bonus bets. Make every moment more with FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA. Guys, we'll take a big picture look at the Cavaliers' 52-10 start a little bit. But let's start with last night's win in particular. The Heat, down 6 rotation players, gave Cleveland all they could handle, and despite that, the Cavs found a way to erase a 7-point fourth-quarter deficit to pull out a win, their 12th straight, their third 12th-game winning streak of the season, which is just incredible. But they closed the game, once again for the third straight game, with DeAndre Hunter at the 4, Evan Mobley at the 5, and Jarrett Allen on the bench. Yeah. Tyvis, Dustin, Bull, and Ty, will start with you.
For the record, are we ignoring the fact that how disgraceful it is that once again, and we're seeing this all the time, NBA teams just sitting 6 guys, 5 guys, 7 guys.
They were hurt.
Nah, they're not all hurt. That's bullshit. Okay. I mean, they don't care about the fans.
No.
They don't care about the fans. It's, I don't know. Anyway, go ahead, Ty.
2 of the guys that were out for Miami yesterday weren't even on the bench because they didn't want them around the team because they were contagious. So we could debate whether that's real or not.
The Cavs don't. The Cavs are one of the few teams that don't do that nonsense. Go ahead,
true. Ty, do you believe that the closing lineup with Allen on the bench, Hunter at the 4, Mobley at the 5, is their best bet to close games from now to the end of the season and then into the playoffs? Is that their best closing group?
Yeah, I really do, because I think for the simple fact that, for the longest, everybody thought, funnel everything down to Jarrett Allen or Evan being down there as well. You could funnel things down to there, and that would stop things at the cup. But if you look at some of these lineups, some of these guys have shooters at the 4. And maybe even got, like last night, Bam's at the 5. I didn't even know Bam had a jumper like that.
Nice night.
Bam was out there hitting all kind of trades yesterday. So think about that. Evan Mobley, your best defensive player. Now you're not having that mismatch of Bam or Jarrett Allen having to come out of the paint to check Bam at the three-point line. Now you can have Evan there, and everybody can switch everything, because everybody can play pretty much everybody. I know that Darius is the defensive liability and all those things, but you get what I'm saying. At the most part, you could switch everything to where Jarrett's in there. You really can't, because he's not comfortable being out there on the perimeter. So I thought last night that closing lineup was great. Now, don't get me wrong, Duncan Robinson hit that 3, but he stepped out of bounds, so we got saved with those. And then the defense was really well. Obviously, Bam turned the ball over in the closing seconds of the game as well. But defensively, they were superb. Even Duncan's last shot at the end was a contested shot. And I think that this lineup, due to the fact that it gives you that ability to be able to switch everything when you do pick and rolls, it doesn't matter. If you switch it, if the 4 is picking or the 5 is picking, you're switching with, Mobley or Hunter, you're getting 2 great defensive players that's switching on you. So I think it's the best thing. And Evan is obviously DPOY for a reason. He's going to win it this year, I should say. So you still have the ability to funnel anything to the paint and know that somebody's down there to shoot, to at least alter the shot, or best bet, block the shot.
Is that something, guys, that you think, like that, the way that they closed that game last night, is that something we could see in the postseason? Like, do we think that the closing lineups could change literally game to game?
Kenny said that after the game. He was asked, this is 3 in a row, are you set as this your close? Yeah. And he said, no, it's matchup dependent. Miami only had the 1 big, so they didn't feel like they needed the extra bigs. But in terms of defensive metrics from last night, Miami hit 100 points with 6-11 in the fourth quarter. Half the quarter to go, they had 100 points. They ended with 107. Yeah. The majority of that second half of the fourth quarter stretch had the lineup of Mitchell, Garland, Strus, Hunter, and Mobley. 4 minutes and 51 seconds, so just shy of 5 minutes. In those 5 minutes, that 5-man lineup posted a defensive rating of 62.5, and they closed the game with 6 consecutive stops.
But isn't Allen a good defender?
He is. And Tyvis was wrong. He's very comfortable on the perimeter switching. Sorry to got Ty, but he's fine there. But he's not Allen. I mean, he's not Hunter.
Big straight right
so
there.
Hunter's a better defender than Allen.
On the perimeter, absolutely.
So if they're playing a team that's got two big guys, you'll see Allen out there probably at the end of the game.
Kenny said they'll mix and match. The thing with Hunter, they just have way more spacing offensively. And against a team that was playing zone as much as Miami was last night, you need the spacing to spread the zone out and find the pockets to attack.
I wonder if Jarrett Allen is frustrated right now.
No way.
You don't think so?
I don't think so.
He ain't that type of guy.
I think that guy cares about winning and cares about his teammates. I mean, he is a rare breed for kind of a superstar type of player. I mean, the guy's an all-star, and he is the ultimate team guy.
And really, you look at the whole team. I mean, it's just an unselfish bunch.
Yeah.
There doesn't appear to be an ego issue with anybody on this team.
I love it, man. I love the fact that some of the folks out there that cover the NBA from a national perspective are like, the Cavs are just not a sexy team. Dude, we're 52-10.
Yeah. I'm enjoying it.
They could win 70 games.
Yeah, I can't wait to the playoffs because every series the Cavs are going to play, they could win, they could lose. I mean, there'll be some you expect them to win, but like the Cavs haven't proven enough in the playoffs that they couldn't lose early in the in the playoffs, and yet they could win it all. So with LeBron, you always knew they were going to get to the finals. There was a level of.
Is there a little part of you that's like a little bit nervous for the postseason?
100%.
Because they've been so good and so dominant here in the regular season that when we get to the postseason, if they don't perform, or God forbid, what if they get bounced like really early?
Oh, it's
going to feel like, oh my God, what was this? This was such a fun run. For what?
Yeah. Sorry,
not to get too
far.
I was say don't do that.
That's fine. To Dustin's point on Jarrett Allen, Kenny was asked that. Evan was asked that. Donovan was asked that all last night. Hey, how do you think Jarrett feels about in the last 3 games not being part of the closing lineup?
They didn't ask him?
He was. So when we go to the locker room, players can dip out a little early.
Yeah.
This is not new. All season, Jarrett Allen, unless he has like 20 and 17, is the first one out the locker room. He doesn't love talking to us. He doesn't mind talking to us, but he's not just kind of shooting the shit around waiting for guys.
Yeah.
So we all asked them, and the constant in all 3 answers was to what Dustin said. He is the consummate professional. If we win, he does not care. And remember, Kenny coached him in Brooklyn. They go back a long time, and I think that relationship and Kenny being able to look Jarrett in the eye and Jarrett reciprocating that eye contact and being like, right now, this matchup, we think DeAndre gives us a better chance. It's not necessarily hurting his feelings. It's a level of respect to be able to have those conversations and Jarrett not pout and not change the way he's going to play and not give 125% effort in the minutes he is playing. And Donovan pointed out he may not be closing in these last 3 games, and it has been, I think, some matchup-dependent situations. Portland had 1 big and a bunch of guards. Boston plays with 1 big, a bunch of guards. Miami had Bam and a bunch of guards, so they didn't need the 2 bigs. But he said, look how hard Jarrett plays in the minutes when he's not closing, knowing he may not be out there for the last 3-4 minutes. Look how hard he's playing in the first 4 minutes of the fourth quarter, setting screens, rebounding, defending.
I mean, he
all
plays
the
hard all the
stuff,
time, though.
I just figured it was worth pointing out that it doesn't seem to have changed anything in how Jarrett's
25 and 17 the last game.
It was great
last
on
game,
Wednesday.
Evan Mobley didn't play.
Yeah, that's true, but he's still getting his. They keep him fresh for the playoffs. This is a guy that's trying to play all. Isn't he playing all 82 games this year?
He wants to.
He says he wants to.
All right, so this is taking a couple of minutes and letting him recover a little bit earlier. At the end of the day, we always talk about it's about the playoffs. Being as healthy as you can in the playoffs. When did he get hurt last year? Wasn't it like the last 3 games or something like that?
Jarrett, no, he hurt his rib in the playoff series.
Oh, it was in the playoffs.
20 games to go. They have to go 15-5 to break the franchise record for wins. Anybody doubting they'll do that, or do you think at the end of the season, because they'll have everything locked up, that they might lose some games late? Or as Dustin suggested this morning, that maybe even with their bench players, they'll still win some games.
What was the over under when we did it 3 weeks ago?
63.5. They're going to go over.
They're clearly going over.
They're going over.
The franchise record's 66. They've got 52 wins now, with 20 to go.
They got to win 13 more games. Oh, no. 15
more games. 15-5 to set the franchise record. I think they're going to do it.
I'm about to say, it's hard to say they can't the way they playing right now. The only way they can do it is they just completely just let the wheel
I think they only have 7 games of their last 20 against teams that are in the top 6 in each conference. Mike, correct me if I'm wrong.
I don't know the exact number, but
2 against Boston, 2 against Indiana.
They don't play Boston. They play the Knicks twice.
I'm sorry, 2 against the Knicks, I meant. 2 against Indiana,
Correct.
Memphis, Detroit, and Milwaukee.
Correct. And they got the Clippers, who are 6th in the West right now.
Oh, they're 6th. Okay. They got 2 with the Clippers.
2 against the Clippers, yeah. They actually don't have a gauntlet of a schedule in terms of opponents, but the number of games
they got
versus
that
the
West
number
Coast
of off
trip.
days is in March they play 16 games in 29 days, which is
That's
a lot of 3 and 4s.
But remember, they've been so good with the minutes.
Well, it's still 3 and 4s. Like, that still makes a difference.
Yeah, but so Donovan will sit a game, and
Yeah.
Evan sits a game. That's what they've done a little bit.
Kenny
here.
mentioned in the post game yesterday that he thought Miami going zone as frequently as they did was a great tactic because you have tired legs 3 and 4, and that was the Cavs 3 and 4 or third game and fourth nights last night before a night off, and they take on Charlotte on Friday. And you can see it, and they all talked about it. Just that this is the dog days. You know, we talk about the dog days of baseball in the summer.
Yeah.
They've now clinched.
Oh, it's tough.
And they have
really
20
tough.
games left.
And how far?
Yeah, you got 4 weeks. 4 weeks left in the season, essentially 5 at maybe.
What's the difference between them and Boston for the number 1 seed?
They're 8 games up. It is almost they're at 99.9% chance according to ESPN.
What's their magic number?
It is hard
clinch
to
the
be
one
locked
seed.
in.
I believe they have the tiebreaker against Boston, right?
Well, they split the
I think the
season
tiebreaker's
2-2,
conference record after head-to-head.
and they have a 4-game advantage over Boston in the conference record.
Yeah, so
Well, Bull's looking that up.
Yeah.
Dustin, one last thing on last night's game, and then we'll look big picture in a little bit on the show. But to see in the fourth quarter, once again, the Cavs, who had their B game, C game, whatever grade you want to give it for the first 42 minutes of the game, go on another run in the final 6 minutes, shutting down the Heat offensively and finding way to scores. Are those the kind of little things we'll look back on when the playoffs roll around and say, remember when they did this against Miami on the third game and fourth nights? That's going to translate to playoff basketball.
Well, I would say, the one thing that jumps out at me is these comebacks, these come from behind victories they've had over the last week or so, being down 20 points or 20-ish points, double digits. There's never going to be a game in the playoffs where the Cavs feel like they're out of it. And that's where you can have that recall to bring you back to these moments, these experiences that you remember how you felt and how you got back into games with effort, intensity, moving without the basketball, all the things they're vital for this team's success. They're going to feel like they can get back into games. And we know how playoffs go, guys. When you're on the road, there's going to be games where they're going to fall behind double digits.
Yeah.
Maybe in the first half. Maybe they're down 15 or whatever. Like, a lot of teams may go in the tank and quit. This team won't. That won't be the case because they're going to be able to recall those moments and know that they're good enough to come back really against anybody, including the Boston Celtics, who everybody thinks have been the best team in the Eastern Conference. Well, it just happened the other night, Friday night.
Yeah, it's a good point, too, because yesterday we talked about these bad starts in terms of a negative, and it is, you don't want to get off to a bad start, but it's a positive spin out of that you build up your confidence in knowing that no matter what the deficit is, you still have a chance to win.
Well, I think that's kind of been what I've loved about this team. They've literally won in every way imaginable. They've blown teams out. They've been in close games. They've been down a bunch of points. Like, they've literally won every single way this season. To where when they get to the playoffs, don't get me wrong, I know playoff basketball is totally different, but you're absolutely right. Like, they're going to say, we've been in this situation before and we got ourselves out. Like, this ain't no different. Yes, it's playoff basketball, but we know we can do it. It's in there. So go back to, remember when we was talking about the Celtics game, when they was like, it doesn't make any difference. This game will not affect me. No, it does a little bit because of the simple fact where I was like, well, it's important for them to win in the Garden. Well, TD Garden, because there's only one The Garden.
That's right.
TD Garden is important for them to win, but I think it was more impactful that they went down 22 points and came back and won in TD Gardens, because it's like, if we could do this here, granted, I get it's the regular season, but if we could do this here in this environment, this atmosphere against that team, then there's nowhere else that we can't get this done. Yeah, and I think that really boosts their mindset going into the playoffs.
Yeah. By the way, the Cavs' magic number for clinching the 1 seed in the East is 12. Any combination of 12 Cavs wins and Celtics losses So in theory, they could do it.
Celtics look like they ain't trying to look. They had two dudes
I don't
hit
think they
9
can.
threes last
They're
night.
not playing. How close are the Knicks to being the 2 seed? By the way,
Peyton Pritchard and
The Knicks are
and
3.5
White
games
hit
behind the
9
Celtics.
threes
yeah.
apiece.
I mean, it's all the top 6 seeds are set. I get
In the
not
East?
not in order. I mean, Milwaukee, Indiana, and Detroit could still end up in any order, but we know who the 6 teams are going to be. Is what I'm saying. Top
Yeah.
6. And same thing in the West, right?
No, the Timberwolves and the Clippers are right there with Warriors.
Oh,
for,
yeah.
The West, the 10 teams in the West are pretty much set,
Right.
unless Dallas continues to free fall now with Kyrie out. And
Which they could.
Which they absolutely could. But 9 of the 10 teams in the West are set, just a matter of the order.
Yeah, but Dallas is still up a good deal on Phoenix, so
We'll see.
anyway. All right, Mike. Go
We're
ahead.
going to do big picture Cavs. We're going to talk about Kevin Love and his ceremony last night. Then
Yeah.
we got Marcus Morris, a former Cav who was
Yeah.
on the team for a playoff push,
Yes.
joining the show at 12:30. But we got to talk something about Joel Bitonio